Welcome back to the Hood News Fantasy Football Podcast. It's your boy, Keem. This is episode 33, week 7, Studs and Duds. I got my boys, MFB.
Yes, sir.
And BBTB smiling hella goofy.
Right here, baby, right here.
Almost cracked on that intro. Slimy week. Let's jump into it, man. Monday Night Football, we had Lamar Jackson and Baker Mayfield, top two performing QBs head-to-head in what was supposed to be, kind of a shootout. Turned out to be more of a lopsided game. Baker Mayfield has been on fire, dude, every week. Besides the Broncos. But other than that, man, Baker Mayfield's been top tier QB.
Yeah, he does look solid, man, but yeah, I think he's got his 2-star players hurt right now, so I don't think he'll be keeping up that performance.
Yeah, so Evans left with a hamstring injury, considered week to week. He didn't come back in the game. Godwin left the game, got carted off with what apparently I saw a tweet by Ian Rappaport. He said that it's apparently, according to Todd Bowles, a dislocated ankle. So it was too gruesome for them to show the replay on ESPN. So
Yeah, bro. I was gonna say it looked bad. I mean, as far as like the fantasy outlook, right? Baker Mayfield has, pretty much had a top 7 QB performance every week, constantly in the stud list.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, pretty much from this, you would say like, bro, Baker's a must start. We mentioned that last week, right? But if he's missing Godwin and Mike Evans, is he still a must start for you guys?
I think you can still roll him out. Honestly, it just depends on what other option you have. If you drafted a late QB, let's say you drafted Tua and you have Baker, Tua's coming back week 8. I would wait on Tua. Honestly, I might roll Baker. That's actually a tough one. Baker or Tua? What do you think, BBT?
I'd probably still go Baker because Baker could also like run with his legs a lot too, and he loves distributing the ball. I don't know if you saw towards the end. I know it was that last drive, but he was distributing the ball to Kate Otten, Sterling Shepard.
Yeah,
that rookie, I think number 15, almost caught a tutty, but he dropped in the end zone. So I feel like he can still do some damage. So I'd probably still roll him out.
Yeah. I was gonna mention that rookie. His name's Jalen McMillan.
Mm-hmm.
And they also have Sterling Shepard, who was like, I put him as like a very deep sleeper on my list. So we'll probably talk more about those guys on the waiver wire episode.
Mm-hmm.
But those will like be his next weapons. He still has Kate Otten. They still have the trio of running backs. I mean, I feel like the offense will still be pretty good, man.
That's what you're hoping for, right? Especially if you have a Baker owner.
Next week they get Falcons, then it's a divisional game, so
it's a rematch from that game when Kirk Cousins had 5 touchdowns. So we'll see how that goes. Lamar Jackson with 5 touchdowns, man.
Dude.
And 52 yards on the ground, 280 yards in the air, 281 yards, 34.44 fantasy points. He went nuts, man.
That was a prime performance from him, man. Everything was just going his way, reading his reads, knowing when to pull the ball, run, looking just like them. Literally, honestly, my top MVP candidate right now.
Reading his reads, huh?
Just reading the right reads.
making the right reads. Okay.
Yeah.
He was drafted pretty early on. I think he was going 4th off the board, and he looks to have been the best pick out of those top 4 QBs between Mahomes, Hurts, Allen, and Lamar Jackson. So you play him every week. Obviously, he's been great. I mean, he only had maybe 2 weeks where he wasn't in the studs list. So keep rolling him out.
Mm-hmm.
Next on the list, very interesting, Russell Wilson with his Steelers debut.
Crazy.
24.86 fantasy points. And what do you guys make of it?
I think we talked about this last time. Like, we were doubting Mike Tomlin. But, I mean, homie's the coach, bro, and he knows what he be doing. So
this against
trust the process, and we seeing it, right? So
yeah. I mean, against the Jets, I honestly thought Tomlin would find a way to win without having to make Russell Wilson throw the ball. You know what I mean? Like, because Tomlin's just good at getting wins.
Yeah.
But I mean, he did his thing. 262 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 on the ground. He looked good.
Yeah, I'd probably say if you need a quarterback, just pick him up, stash him on the bench. I'd see how he plays next week and just see if he's going to keep that consistent performance, because the Jets looked like they were in shambles last Sunday night.
Yeah. He plays the Giants next week. Primetime game.
Oh,
It looks like
that could be a solid game.
You know, I'm not going to lie. Watching that game, Russell Wilson, there was a couple of catches that were made by Pickens that, in my opinion, helped Russ's week. Like, he made some crazy catches. There was one where he was just like juggling the ball. It was kind of crazy. But not to take away from Russell Wilson, but I mean, as corny as he is, he had a good performance, and I guess against the Jets is not easy to do. So, solid overall. Couple more names: Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, and then the rookie Drake May, who had a decent game over in London against the Jaguars. But we kind of talked about the Jaguars and how you want to target them.
Yeah. There's something we called out. Pretty obvious. Nothing hard to calculate here. I mean, Jacksonville has given a top 12 QB performance every week this season.
Wow.
That's great.
So
Yeah.
if you have a QB playing to get Jacksonville, they're going to get top 12. That's pretty much what you could take from this. So all the Jordan Love owners next week, have fun. Should be seeing a solid performance.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's who they play week 8. So
Yeah, but honestly, I feel like Drake May, that wasn't like a even though I know that Jaguars he's not the best, I still feel like Drake May is low-key solid, man. Like,
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like the defense has to pick it up, but if the defense picks it up, gets the ball more into Drake May's hands, he could be solid, man. So
He plays the Jets next week that are desperately trying to bounce back, man. Devontae Adams goes to the Jets, and he lost to the Steelers. Lost to the Steelers, went to the Jets, lost to the Steelers again. So that team is, like I said, desperately looking for a win against the rookie Drake May. He will probably get a lot of garbage time points. That's my guess on Drake May next week. If you have him and you need him to play for you, I would try not to play him next week. But if you don't have a choice, it is what it is. On to the wide receivers. Amon-Ra at the top, 21.2 fantasy points. I mean, that Lions offense, that was game of the week. Lions Vikings. Lions took the division with that win. That was a great performance, but by Amon-Ra, just excellent overall. Amon-Ra he's had pretty good games throughout the season. His first game was terrible, but other than that, he's been excellent overall wide receiver.
yeah, he's probably gonna be the guy week in, week out. I think JMO was suspended on PEDs.
Two games, yeah. Jameson Williams.
Yeah, so pretty much I think Amon-Ra is the must start, obviously.
Do you think the prime benefactor is Amon-Ra, or will it be Sam Laporta, who's been kind of invisible?
probably split like between the both of them. But JMO wasn't seeing a wild, crazy target share, right? So
Yeah, you're not wrong. Another player that got in the wide receiver stud list that just snuck in was Rashad Bateman, who had 20.1 fantasy points. He only had 4 targets, 4 receptions, 121 yards, and a touchdown. Is this just a fluke game, or does he somehow continue that?
I mean, I would check if Zay Flowers got hurt or not. I don't know. I heard he might have got injured or went to the sideline. But it really depends on that, right?
Okay.
The Ravens and their passing is kind of fluky, right? It's not like every week they win through the air. They win very much a lot of their games on the ground. And Rashad Bateman's kind of like the Alec Pierce archetype in this kind of offense, right? Big play guy, right? So if you want that boomer bust risk play, you could run it. You could run Rashad Bateman. So
yeah.
I I was just about to say the same thing. Yeah, boomer bust play. Go get Rashad Bateman. I think he still keeps up a low double digit performance. Just the way Lamar's been playing, you know.
Yeah, I think maybe next week they're playing Cleveland, which is not bad. And they play Denver, and that's just a good defense. But yeah, you can. I mean, if you need a flex, like a desperation play, in my opinion. Next on the list, Brian Thomas in London. Also did his thing. He's been great, man, this season.
Hey, I've talked about this guy pre-draft. Y'all know it if you one of the day ones. He's a dog, man. He's a dog. He's finished top 10 in 3 of the last 4 games. So I think he keeps it up. And that's not like, I mean, it kind of helps that Jacksonville, for the most part, plays from behind a lot.
Right.
So, that helps with the passing too. But he's just a dog, bro. I think he's like definitely the number 1 in Jacksonville right now.
Yeah, I think he's runner up right now for rookie of the year too. So so I feel like Brian Thomas, man, he's the guy. I think he's having a really very similar season to Jamar Chase, his rookie season. If I'm not mistaken.
Almost quietly, like I feel like no one really talks about him. I mean, he had a couple bad games against Buffalo, Chicago, tough defenses, but other than that, he's been performing very well over the last 6 games. Last 5 games, he's averaged like 7 targets a game or so. He had 9 targets, 8, 6, 5. Pretty solid.
Yeah.
Next on the list, George Pickens, who, as a result, Russell Wilson had a day. George Pickens also had a day, 19.6 fantasy points. Is this going to be going forward? Is George Pickens' value up with Russell Wilson at quarterback?
I think so. Just because Fields loves to scramble, gets yards on the ground. With Russell Wilson, he's not as fast, obviously. So I feel like he'll pass the ball more, try to thread the ball more, really try to get it there to his guys. So I feel like George Pickens' value went up slightly. Nothing crazy.
Yeah, Russell Wilson likes those lofting passes over the top, kind of like arc passes where it's just lobs it up for the receiver to make a play on it. And George Pickens he's a good receiver. He's able to make those plays. So I think this can help unlock George Pickens. Next on the list, we got DK Metcalf, Justin Jefferson, 17.9 fantasy points. Both those guys, obvious starts. DK's dealing with an MCL sprain, was it?
Yeah, grade 1.
Grade 1, yeah. And DK doesn't miss a lot of time usually, so he's usually out there. And
I think he's missed like 1 game in his entire career, bro.
Yeah, so
and that was last year. I'm like pretty sure.
Yeah. I mean, they have a week 10 bye. They have Buffalo next week. I don't know if they hold him out for 2 weeks, if it's that bad. We'll see if he plays next week or not. But keep an eye on the news for DK. Yeah. An MCL sprain, regardless of the severity, should be taken seriously, especially with your top receiver. That's it for wide receivers. You guys want to talk about anyone else? A couple extra names. I mean, you had AJ Brown, 17.4, T. Higgins, 16.2, Drake London, 15.3. They're all, not like top tier, but anyways, on the list. Onto the running backs. At the top, Jahmyr Gibbs, 30 fantasy points. Yeah, he had a nice 45-yard rush touchdown where he like kind of made his way out on the right side and just juked the defender and then went straight to the end zone.
Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing, he had an elite game. He's a talented RB, and he finally got like the elite usage, be it as it may, because David Montgomery went down, right? But we saw the highest running back rush share from Gibbs, 63%. We saw the highest target share of 19%, right? So the numbers came up, his production came up. Talented guy is going to produce like that.
Yeah, and if you guys are Gibbs owners, please don't trade him away. If you have a chance to make a playoffs, that guy might win you your playoff games, So keep that guy.
Yeah, Montgomery went down with like a knee. Something happened with his knee, and then he came back in and then ended up fumbling the ball. So I think Jahmyr Gibbs just was just because of what happened in the game, was able to get the ball more and showed why he should get the ball more.
Mhm.
But as long as Montgomery's healthy, they're going to do the 1-2 punch. Dave Montgomery's a good running back, and they're going to use him. Just to kinda
I
give
think
him-
the report right now is that Montgomery's gonna be okay,
Okay.
according to the coach.
Yeah.
And Coach Dan Campbell don't cap. We
No.
don't forget that
100%.
around here. So
Mhm.
Yep. Makes sense. Rashad White, 26.1 fantasy points, is trying to reclaim his, starting position in that offense. I mean,
hey, I respect it, bro. They kind of split the carries. They split like some targets, I believe.
yeah.
And the homie's like, I ain't losing my damn job. I'm gonna go out there and ball out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, they
Honestly,
did
I have it as like a 1-2 punch. Rashad White and Bucky look great out there. So I feel like Rashad White is trying to be the guy, but I feel like it just has to be a 1A, 1B.
Yeah, I mean, and the coach did say that they were going to use all three running backs, and they did, and they split carries. But Rashad White kind of made the most out of those carries and targets. He had a good number of targets. He had was it 6 targets? He caught all of them for 71 yards and 2 touchdowns. So
Yeah.
he did his thing out there. Saquon Barkley revenge game, 25.7 fantasy points.
I called it. It's like, let you guys know, I called it.
Yeah,
I said that
I
homie's
think
getting
we all said it.
But I said he was going to get 200 yards with 2 tutties. He could have had that, but I don't know if you guys watched one of the, after the game, he said he wanted the young guys to eat. So that man could have hit it. So just
Kevin
saying.
Gainwell or who?
I don't even know.
Will Shipley or something, I believe.
Something. Yeah. So
But yeah, I mean, Saquon, straight menace, right? One of the top RBs right now. 21% target share, which is the new season high for him. I think something maybe I mentioned maybe last week or 2 weeks ago is really want to see his target share go up. Like he wasn't just catching enough balls.
Mhm.
And now that he is, it's definitely we see more elite numbers, more elite production from him.
yeah.
Yep.
And honestly, I thought this game would be a lot closer than what it was, but I think just Nick Sirianni just
Oh my God.
outcoached just everyone, because last week he looked horrible as a coach, bringing it really close with Cleveland. But this week, man, he just did his thing and just, gave it to the guys, ran the right plays,
The Eagles dominated the Giants that game. That was just completely ran them over.
Yeah.
It was a bad game for the Giants. And I think it's been over 600 days since Daniel Jones has scored a touchdown at home in that stadium.
What a stat.
It's literally like over 600 days.
Oh, in
or something.
Philly, you mean?
No, they played at home. No, or was it in Philly?
He hasn't scored a touchdown at home even this season?
Yes, bro.
Let me check
I'm telling you, go look it up. You guys go ahead and look it up. I'm gonna bring up the next couple names. Yeah,
Okay.
Joe Mixon,
Wow.
25.4. Derrick Henry, 24.7. Javante
Damn.
had a game. Tank Bigsby had a game. Brees Hall, Kenneth Walker, Bijan, Kareem Hunt. I'm speeding through these guys because there's way too many of them. It was an RB week. Do you guys want to highlight any of these guys? Derrick Henry, we expect it.
is. Yeah. Derrick Henry, definitely expect it. Joe Mixon, bro, this is kind of crazy to me because he's had 3 games. All 3 have been 20 plus performances.
3 fully healthy games.
3 fully healthy games. Yeah, right.
Mm.
Menaces all those games.
Yep.
It's bro, can he keep this up? Does he keep it up? I feel like you sell high right now.
I mean, you could.
It's not sustainable. And it's not about somebody else getting shares or whatever. I'm not even talking about that. I'm just talking about the guy with this usage being this efficient kind of thing.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's that's something to think about. Honestly, if you're an owner in the last 2 games of the season, I mean, they have a week 14 bye, then week 15 they play Miami, then they play Kansas City and then Baltimore the last 2 weeks. So
I personally wouldn't sell him. I don't know why. I feel like Mixon is that go-to guy. Last year, towards the end of the season, the last 5 games for the Bengals, he was looking like a stud, and he's obviously carried it back into the season. So I feel like just you keep this guy and you go get his handcuff. I think it's Dameon Pierce right now, pretty sure.
yeah.
So I don't know, man. I feel like obviously he's not I don't think he's going to keep 25 plus. Yeah, obviously, he can. He's done it 3 times. But I still
Yeah.
feel like he could be a good 15-point player. So,
Yeah, no, definitely. I agree with that. It's just like you could sell him on the value of like, yo, this
Yeah.
guy's straight 25 bombing every. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Honestly, bro, they play the Colts next week, so he probably could do it again.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
Yeah. So, man, I don't know.
Yeah,
This
you
guy's
can.
kinda
I mean,
crazy.
it's a good matchup next week. You can hold on to him and then let him eat again. And then they play the Jets, Detroit, tough defenses. So you could sell him before then.
Yeah.
Javonte, I had a game. He looked good in that game, and maybe because they got their right tackle back.
Javonte looked really good. Surprised a lot of people. Us at the Hoodies, not surprised because we said he was seeing the usage. It's just a matter
Yeah.
of time before the production meets up with it.
Then they played
So-
the weak Saints, so you know.
And they played dog shit Saints, who apparently were going to beat the Broncos. But anyways,
And another key point about Javonte
right.
is that they just got back that rookie Estime, and he
Yep.
fumbled in that game, and just immediately it was like, nope, you're good, you're not touching the ball again. Like, so that's good for him because people were
So-
worried about that rookie kind of eating into his production. He wasn't
Yeah.
looking good the first 6 weeks. He had a couple of decent weeks against like the Jets and against the Raiders, I think. But I mean, everyone does good. But the other weeks he looked stale, especially against the Chargers. He fumbled, and then it was like, dude, what do we do with Javonte? He plays Carolina next week. Plug him into your lineup. He's going to have a game.
Yeah.
yeah.
Tank Bigsby, no ETN. He went crazy. We can talk about Tank Bigsby, but I mean, maybe we talk about that when we talk about the Jacksonville matchup this week because we're running out of time. But with no ETN, Tank Bigsby is an auto start. It looks like.
Yeah. I mean, I called it, though. Tank Bigsby, takeover season. So,
I mean, yeah, ETN's not there to say something for himself or to fend for himself. So yeah. Anything on these last 3 guys? Kenneth Walker, Bijan Robinson, Kareem Hunt.
No, I mean Kareem Hunt's still handling like a large amount of the running back rushes for the Chiefs. So
Right.
I think he's like an auto start every week that Pacheco's out.
Yep.
Kenneth
they had their
Walker,
bye, right?
Kenneth Walker's a dog, and the weird thing I noticed was he had his lowest target share of the season, 7%. This is like a good sign if you're a Walker owner, right?
Mhm.
Like, because probably
Yeah.
going to go up after this, and that's what you want for your running back. So, Kenneth Walker's a straight menace.
Yeah.
That's about all. I think Brees Hall, ever since the coach firing, Brees Hall running back usage has been heavy.
Yep.
Definitely
Braylon Allen's getting
increased
phased out.
workload. Sorry to the Braylon Allen drafters and owners, but I
Yeah,
don't know.
he's
It
just
is
a
what it is.
handcuff
If
at
they're
this
giving
point.
him is the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. On to the tight ends at the top. Somehow, some way, every week the tight ends surprise us. Jonnu Smith, 19.1 fantasy points, followed by Njoku, 18.6. And then, oh my God, surprisingly, Mark Andrews, 18.1 fantasy points on Monday Night Football.
Called him too. I called him last week. Listen up to the podcast, man. I said Mark Andrews should keep up this performance, and that Lamar Jackson was going to feed the ball to Mark Andrews a lot more after that press game, post game conference, and literally
We did talk about Lamar Jackson saying that he needs to get the ball to Mark Andrews more, and he got him 2 touchdowns.
solid.
So we talked about that last week in the matchup episode. Any of these guys you want to talk about?
Jonnu Smith with a wild 32% target share. Miami has no QB. Miami is a
Tua's
fucking
coming
shit
back.
show. Miami is I don't know. Miami is like
Circus.
Hey,
they were once a fantasy juggernaut. Like, hey, get me some Dolphins players. Now they're like
Oh, yeah.
fantasy effing
Bottom
wasteland, bro.
of the bottom
I
of the
don't even
barrel,
know what
man.
to say about it. It's just it's
Tua comes
I'm not
back
a
next
Dolphins
week.
fan, but like, bro, I like
Yeah.
watching them. They were a fun ass offense to watch,
100%.
and now they're just a trash can on fire.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
Remember-
No, it's like it kind of sucks, bro. It sucks for like NFL and like the spectators, and
It really does, man. But
but
they
I feel bad for
supposedly
the
reported-
coach. The coach was like a good, like innovative kind of young
Yeah.
homie. Like
Yeah.
It just sucks, bro. Yeah, Jonnu Smith, bro. Whatever.
Hey, when
It's
Tua
salty.
comes back, that's when you start your players. 'Cause I think-
God willing,
yeah.
bro. Hopefully he can stay
They're
alive.
saying they're targeting a week 8 return.
Yeah, that's this week, bro. So
Yeah.
we'll
So
see.
We'll see what
Njoku-
happens, bro. Tyreek needs help, bro. Waddle needs help. A chain needs help. Everybody needs help, bro.
Yeah. Njoku with
They play
Deshaun
the
Watson.
Cardinals, so I don't know.
yeah.
See what happens.
Hey, man. All right. We know. We get it. You're mad. You have some Dolphins players. I do too. I have Tyreek in the league. I need him to produce. He's like
I know.
once a week, man.
Yeah,
Njoku
moving to
with,
okay. We got like Njoku. Really good target shares the last couple of games. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, obviously no Amari Cooper, right? But even the game before that, he had 30% target share,
We talked about
29%
that.
target share again.
Yeah, we said in the last episode, I think the biggest benefactor with no Amari Cooper was going to be Njoku. And then now with Deshaun Watson out for the year with that Achilles rupture, it's going, I mean, what was his name? Dorian Thomas Robinson, whatever his name.
Yeah, homie got like
DTR.
4 names in one. Don't even know.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, anyways, he got injured. They said it's not looking serious, but then James Winston came in, threw Njoku a touchdown. They need to leave James Winston in there. Don't worry about the second year guy. Like, just let James Winston go to town.
Yeah.
And just give the fans something to celebrate, some touchdowns. Brock Bowers, auto start every week. Cade Otton.
Yeah, he's like, bro, if you got him late in your drafts, you're chilling. He's finished top 5 tight end in 5 of the 7 games. So
crazy.
Wow.
Nice. You're pretty happy with that.
Yeah, even without, they are missing Jacoby Myers the last few weeks, who is their number 1 wide receiver, but has been out with an ankle issue. But I think even if Jacoby Myers is back in that offense, you don't worry about Brock Bowers. He's going to be fine. Cade Otton, now he had a 14-point fantasy game going forward with no Evans for who knows how long, and then Godwin may be out for the season with a dislocated ankle. Cade Otton is going to be a huge benefactor over in that Bucks offense.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like he'll be an auto start every week, man. What with those two main stars going down? Like who else? You know?
Even if one of them comes back, he may still be. He's been doing great the last few weeks, even with both of those guys in the offense. So
yeah,
I mean, he had 10 targets, 8 receptions this week, and he had 6 targets the week before, 4 targets, 9 targets, 8 targets. So his target share has been pretty good, or his target numbers. Hunter Henry, we talked about him last week in the matchup.
sure.
George Kittle, who's dealing with an ankle issue. Zach Ertz, 12 fantasy points. Did decent. That's it for the tight ends. Do you guys want to talk about them? Should we move on?
No, sure.
Nah, just well, a lot of these guys. So my sleeper list was not great last week. But
Not great.
I had like 3 of these tight ends on there, so I was accurate with the tight ends at least.
Hey, that's the toughest position. So
but I know you didn't have no Will Disley on there, brother. I don't know where that came out of, bro.
I definitely did not have no Will.
Will Disley snuck
Will
in
Disley,
at
bro.
12.1 fantasy points, right over Zach Ertz. So yeah, that is an anomaly,
reconnected,
we'll say.
but it's all good though. So let's move on to the.
That's without. They're missing Quentin Johnson, so maybe targets went his way. But either way, probably more of an anomaly. Onto the duds at the top. I put Jaden Daniels in here. He got injured. I just want to talk about him. Initial tests reveal no fracture to his ribs. So hopefully he's back next week. He had 5.24 fantasy points, had a big run, and then got banged up, which may be somewhat of a criticism of these rushing quarterbacks. I mean, we saw it last year with Anthony Richardson when he was dislocated his shoulder or something. He had to get shoulder surgery. Yeah, because he's kept just running like a madman, and you know, if you go your body first into a defender, you know, any part of your body goes into the defender, you always have that risk for injury. So they probably will talk to him and try to get him to like aim for the sidelines and just try to go out of bounds instead of taking the hit.
Yeah, and the thing is, I called that after week 2, after like he had a big hit when he tried to scramble against the Giants, and I said if he keeps running like that, the fool's gonna get hurt at some point.
So, you guys should listen to week 2, man. You would have known
Yeah,
to sit him this
listen,
week.
listen to the podcast. No, I'm just saying, like if I'm a Jaden Daniels owner, like honestly, I'm having a backup quarterback just in case for the postseason. Because like if you have Jaden Daniels, that means you probably faded the quarterback, which means you probably got a fire team. Just letting you know. So I'm just saying, get a quarterback off the waivers. Go get Russell Wilson maybe off the waivers or something, and then just could help you for the postseason. So
Yeah, Russell Wilson, Drake May, one of those guys.
Mm.
CJ Stroud, terrible game. He didn't get injured, but he had 5.34 fantasy points. He's missing Nico Collins big time.
no, he's just missing in general, brother. Man,
It's away
Low-key,
games.
yeah. I mean, Green Bay defense is tough. I think. I mean, this was like my early QB fade, right? I didn't think he'd have this bad of a performance, right? This is
Yeah, did I? Haha, started him.
but I mean, so far, bro, he's only had 2 top 12 performances this season, which is not really good. Like, yeah, it's terrible. I mean, Diggs had a tough matchup against Jair Alexander. They were talking hella shit to each other. I don't
They
know
were
if y'all
talking
saw those.
pregame. There was some
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
They were
going
getting into it.
stupid with
Yes,
each other.
before, like an hour before the game or something, they were getting to it.
Yeah, so
Mhm.
I mean, he has to improve off of this 5-point performance. Like
So-
that's already a given, right?
Yeah, I think
They
according
play
to
the
on
Colts, bro. Like they'll probably go stupid.
Oh yeah,
on Yahoo,
100%.
and it says that he has 21 touchdown passes in 11 career regular home season games and only 12 touchdown passes in 11 road games. So he's better at home. They play the Colts next week. You start him against the Colts, then they play the Jets in New York. You probably sit him that week or see if you can find a pivot.
Mhm.
Couple more names here. Daniel Jones looked terrible, got benched in the fourth quarter, but Brian Dable said Monday morning, he said Daniel Jones is a starter going forward. They did bench him though, because Neighbors was still in the game. And that's your key wide receiver. Why would you play him in garbage time? They benched Daniel Jones. So
Crazy.
did not look good at all.
It's a little bit crazy to me. In that game, I feel like I know we were talking about it earlier.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Have Eagles just played the Giants so much that like they know like literally how to lock him down and break him?
That might have just been a coaching game. Like
before this week, the Giants have not looked like terrible. Like they won some games. Neighbors looks amazing. Daniel Jones doesn't look terrible. But then this game, he looks so terrible they bench him, which is what I thought of like coming into the season.
Mhm.
Like I wasn't taking a lot of Neighbors because of Daniel Jones. I was like, bro, this guy sucks.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and I know he sucks because they were debating trying to get a QB in the draft instead of Neighbors, right? If you watched Hard Knocks, right? Yeah. Like they're trying to get a QB, and you're not trying to get a QB if you have a good QB, right?
Yeah.
So, so I was like, bro, Daniel Jones got to really suck then, right?
Yeah.
But then he started proving me wrong in the season. I'm like, all right, let me shut up, right?
Yeah. I mean, I put him in the duds list because we talked about targeting quarterbacks in divisional matchups, streaming them. They could be a viable option. He gets Neighbors back, and I'm like, okay, this is all the signs are pointing to a good performance from Daniel Jones. Terrible, man. 99 passing yards, 5 rush attempts, 20 yards. It did nothing, man. I had no interceptions or turnovers, but still, just not a good performance at all.
Honestly, if I'm a Neighbors owner, I'm just going to try to go away from Daniel Jones. I would wait for a high performance and then sell him for something.
I don't know. If you're starting Daniel Jones, that's your starting QB, you're in a 16-man league or you're down bad. That you should not have. He should not be your starter.
Are you talking about trading Daniel Jones or trading Neighbors?
Neighbors. I'm saying trading
I thought you
Neighbors.
said Daniel Jones. Sorry.
No.
Man, I don't know,
no,
bro. If I'm a Neighbors owner, I'm not trading Neighbors.
Listen.
Neighbors.
I'm a fan of Neighbors, but since Daniel Jones is having these up and down kind of performances, and they either look good or they don't look good. They look good or they don't look good. I'd probably trade them for a fire two, like decent, 2-for-1, or if you need it, or like a 1-for-1 kind of thing. Yeah. And really have a player that's actually not going to have a roller coaster of weeks.
Yeah. Let me retract my statement. Not never trade, because obviously there's a price for everybody, right?
Yeah.
If I can get an elite, he's an elite receiver. So if you get it an elite RB, go for it.
Mm-hmm.
But Neighbors is a player where I love seeing those metrics. Mm-hmm. Elite talent, elite hands, A lot of volume. Always gets volume every week. That's something that
High
you
target share.
can't get in every player, bro.
Yeah.
So
I mean, the 3 weeks before he got injured, he had 18 targets, 12 targets, 15 targets. Like,
yeah, like
you want,
yeah, I get the offense isn't great. If the offense was good, like 1.1 draft pick, put it there,
Yeah.
stamp it, right?
Easily.
But the offense isn't great, right? But he can still produce on a bad offense.
if I were you and you don't have Neighbors, they play Pittsburgh next week. That might be a bad game for him because Daniel Jones does not look good and Pittsburgh is a good defense, right? Primetime game. I would target to trade for him after that game, especially if he does bad. Because if you get benched as a quarterback, and they benched him. It was not like, oh, we're going to rest you, buddy. No, they benched him. And Daniel Jones is going to do better because he knows his job is like, he's about to lose his job. So he will pick it up. Neighbors will get the ball. He knows he has to target Neighbors more. I would trade for Neighbors. If someone's worried about him, I would go get him. That's me.
Yeah.
Couple more names here. Kirk Cousins. They just ran the ball a lot in that game. I wouldn't. Kirk Cousins is just a streaming option depending on the matchup. They replay Tampa Bay next week, so maybe you can start and stream next week. Anthony Richardson, 8.76 fantasy points. Just he's not accurate.
Keep Flacco. Keep Flacco.
Nothing new.
Bro.
Yeah. Keep Flacco, bro.
I think he's a player that just needs to maybe literally just sit and just let Flacco play and watch Flacco and learn from him. Like literally just learn from someone who knows how to throw the ball. I'm serious. Like he just doesn't. He's just very.
I don't know what's going on, bro.
You can't trust any of those receivers when it's playing. Mahomes 12.06 points. Aaron Rodgers 13.04 in a game that we thought he would do good, especially getting Devontae Adams, and he looked terrible against the Steelers.
I think Rodgers will have better weeks with Devontae.
Yeah.
He should.
I agree.
Mahomes, I can't tell you what's going on. Like their run game is so good. Their defense is so good.
They're winning games.
The reps are so good.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. He doesn't need to do much, bro. He doesn't need to do much.
He doesn't need to do even more than what he's doing. They're winning games.
So it's like when the Peyton Manning Broncos when they won the bowl. Peyton Manning barely had to do much, bro. Just let the defense,
let the rest of the team work, man. And it kind of sucks for fantasy purposes, but he does not need to do much. They won by 10 points in that game, and he had 12 fantasy points. So he's like, all right, I'm doing good. So if I have Mahomes, you should probably have gotten rid of him before. If you can get rid of him now and get someone like, man, if you can get Jordan Love or something out of him, if you can finesse someone that hard, do it. They play Vegas and then Tampa Bay, so two good matchups. If you have him, maybe you can start him in those matchups. That's it for QBs. Did anyone else want to add anything?
Sean.
Before I cut off MFB again. Onto the wide receiver duds. Onto the wide receiver duds. At the top, Juju Smith got injured, hamstring injury. He's already been ruled out for week 8, so it's pretty bad. I'm just going to name off 4 zeros here for players that some players flex worthy. Cortland Sutton, 0 targets.
Bro, I was high on this homie this week, bro.
I was like, you're bugging for that. I don't know.
What do you mean bugging, bro?
I wasn't.
You're bugging. You are bugging for that,
bro. A discombobulated Saints game, bro, or a Saints defense, bro. No shot. That homie did not do his thing, bro.
I mean, okay, I'll give you this. It is an anomaly because I think I read it that this is his first game ever without being held to no catches. His first game ever with no catches. Something crazy like that. Yeah. So it's a little bit crazy, but I mean, he probably in no realm going to start Cortland Sutton.
I would put him in the flex category when we talked about him last week in matchups, but I thought
I would have found a different flex. Denver don't have like a receiver they feed right now. So until that's established, I'm not starting none of them.
I mean, he's been doing...
This is coming from a Denver fan.
11 targets, 9 targets, 5 targets, 6 targets, and 2 touchdowns in those 4 games. So I was like, he can, especially against a soft Saints defense, I was like, yeah, you can start him, and then 0 targets. Anyways, maybe he bounced back next week. We'll talk about that in the matchups. Deebo Samuel left the game with an illness. Apparently he has pneumonia. So
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell's going on over here in Santa Clara that he caught. Like maybe it's COVID 2.0, whatever that is. But
I mean, number one, I don't consider this like a true dud because he was sick. Like he was sick and didn't play the game. So,
but
whatever.
they should. He didn't he play the game? He played a snap, no?
I know, but I'm saying like play the whole game.
No,
But
but
be
yeah,
a real dud. You know what I mean? Like there's
Yes.
people that play the whole game
Yeah.
to get Enduros. That's a real dud. That's what I mean. Sorry.
Like Sutton.
yeah.
Um,
Okay,
but bro, like they're
Sutton-
making a big deal about this pneumonia, bro. Like, oh my god, like
I
breaking
think,
news. Brother, I had
think-
pneumonia at 8 years old. I went to the hospital for a couple days. I came out, bro. He's a grown NFL player, bro. He gonna be good in a week. No, I swear, bro. People
I'll
are
go with
tripping. Like, oh, he's week to week.
No. All right. The reason I put him on the duds list is not because he was ruled out due to the illness, but he had the illness coming into the game, and it's like, why would you run him out there? Like, why would you let people think he's good to go? Put him
Yeah,
on
no,
the notes?
Niners are very shady for that. Remember they did that
Yeah.
week 1 or 2?
It was
Week
Jordan
one with
Mason.
Christian
Jordan
McCaffrey.
Mason.
No,
Yes, because he was like, I knew by Friday night that I was going to play, and they were like, wait, huh? McCaffrey wasn't announced out until Monday, like before the game, and he was like,
Yeah.
crazy. So yeah, man, Niners are sneaky for that, man.
I think Debo will hopefully be all right. Pneumonia's bad, but like
Yeah.
it'll be
Fine.
okay, bro. And then with no
Tank
Ayuk anymore, he should be eating a lot more.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, you.
Tank Dell with a dud, straight 0. I don't even know how many targets he had, but
Bro, I
See,
flexed
that's the
that
real
man.
dud. This
Bro,
is a real dud right here.
This is a true dud. 4
Play the whole.
targets. So let me talk really quick about Tank Dell.
How many
CJ
targets? Sorry.
4 targets. CJ Stroud, he dropped a touchdown in the end zone, I believe. He dropped one. So that could have been a completely different story here if he had caught that. CJ Stroud
Mhm.
said we have to find a way to try and get him the rock early and often and then go from there. It has to be a focus for us. So we talked about Lamar Jackson when he mentioned Mark Andrews and having to get him the ball more. So CJ Stroud
Mhm.
also made a comment after the game saying we need to find a way to get Tank Dell the ball more. So,
Yeah.
and he said it has to be a focus for us. So Tank Dell may be bouncing back next week in a very positive way.
He has to. He has to bounce back or I'm dropping him. Simple.
Oh no,
You
he
and
cares
a lot
about
of-
that.
Yeah.
No, but in all seriousness, I agree with that. I think he will get more involved. I mean, even that game, I mean, with the 4 targets, that was still 21% of the target share, bro. So like,
Bro, yeah.
Oh,
he's seeing some shares.
that was
So that's
that-
positive.
the Joe Mixon
21%?
show. That was the Joe
That's
Mixon
crazy.
show, bro.
Exactly. Yeah.
Uh,
They weren't throwing a lot.
Yeah.
yeah.
So-
We got on the dud list.
Couple more names here. A lot of names here, actually. Jameson Williams, 0.1 points. He's suspended for 2 weeks. We're not going to talk about him. He did spend a lot of time blocking for the running backs. I saw him blocking for Gibbs a couple times. So they're using him to block for the runners. And we don't need to worry about him for the next 2 weeks. Suspended on PEDs. Devonta Smith, 0.3 fantasy points in a game. They just absolutely steamrolled the Giants. Hurts only threw the ball 14 times. So they didn't need Devonta Smith in that game. They completely did.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Sorry. Voice crack.
But that was surprising though. Like I thought Devonta Smith would eat low key versus the Giants. So
Well, if it was a competitive game, yes, maybe. It was not competitive.
Yeah, I think like Kimo said, they only threw 14 times, right? I wouldn't be
It's
worried
AJ
about
Brown.
Devonta Smith here. Yeah, he had 91% route participation, so he's out there running the routes.
Okay.
This was his first time in a career finishing a game with less than 2 targets, though. So
Oh, wow.
that's like,
Crazy.
same thing as Cortland Sutton, like one of those anomalies that we probably and hopefully shouldn't see ever again.
yeah.
A lot more duds here. Jalen Waddle, 1.6. Tyreek Hill, 1.8. If Tua is not playing, these guys are bench.
Man,
You can bench
them.
man. It doesn't
Bench.
make sense, bro. Both
Because
of these
we're
guys
telling-
had
we're-
9% target share. I'm looking at Jonnu
Oh,
Smith get
that's
30% of the
crazy.
balls. Why?
That's crazy. Pause. Bro, I want to say, because we're telling you guys you can bench Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill if Tua is not playing, they're going to go off. Even if Tua doesn't play. Just because we're saying they're bench worthy now.
Nah, bench him, bro. Still. Still bench him, bro. I'd still do it.
It's always that. It's just how the world works. If you bench them, they're just going to go crazy. But anyways, yeah, without Tua, extremely difficult to trust either of those options. Jaden Reed, 2 fantasy points. He had a PI call on a 30-yard pass, and he dropped a 30-yard touchdown, I think it was. Also dealing with an ankle injury heading into the game, so he might have been limited in the game because of it.
I wouldn't be too worried about Jaden Reed, just because, like, I think 80% of the dropbacks for Green Bay, he was running routes, so
Okay.
you know that's definitely like a good sign. And they also play the Jags, so you already know what to do.
Please
No,
put him in
start
the
him.
lineup for sure.
Start him.
Ayuk is out for the season with an ACL, 3.3 fantasy points. We're never going to talk about him again. He's done. I just need to stop for a second and say Ayuk is the biggest thief in the NFL. Got a $120 million contract and then just played, like, had one decent game, didn't even get a touchdown that game, and then just, like, literally.
Let's not be evil, bro. The guy got hurt.
Yeah.
I wish you a speedy
I was about
recovery.
to say,
Ayuk.
like, but you know how many
Man.
people were hating on this man since the summer, bro? Like, even though, like, he had
The homie.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Fantasy is a very dark place. And
Clearly.
dark things happen. Say bad things. I'm sorry to Brandon Ayuk. He's a dog, and honestly, it just was very unfortunate for him. I have torn both my ACLs, so I know how it is. So yeah, I wish him a speedy recovery for sure. But yeah, man, there's a lot of expectation on him. Maybe like it was a lot for him. He couldn't produce, but the injuries really sucks.
I just feel bad for him, man. Like, I feel like even though he wasn't performing, obviously, like the past 7 weeks, I don't know, man. He I don't know. That Niners offense is just in shambles now. So
Yeah.
but
Debo up for sure. Marvin Harrison, 3.6 fantasy points. The Cardinals are just, I don't know what to say about them. Marvin
Yeah,
Harrison.
let's ask you, Cardinals fan. What's up with Marvin Harrison, G?
I just think they're not, whether it's not designing enough plays for him or just not getting him involved in the game when he should be, or it's just him and Kyler are just not on the same page. I don't know what it is. Because, I mean, I'm watching the game. He's running routes. He's out there. He's trying to get open. I mean, he had 6 targets, 3 receptions, 21 yards against a good Chargers defense. So I will say that. But yeah, I don't know. I can't explain it. I'll look into the numbers
Honestly,
more when
man,
we talk about matchups in the following week. I mean, the next episode when we do matchups, but I'll talk about it more. But yeah, it's Marvin Harrison's been a huge disappointment this year. Besides that one game,
I feel like
2 games.
I feel like the NFL finally hit him, and that he's not the top guy that can dog whatever receivers in college. He was overhyped. He was that kind of guy, and I feel like he's just a whatever kind of receiver. So I obviously had that one crazy game, but I don't know, man. I was fading him. Like people were drafting him like early second round.
Yeah, we talked about that in the early preseason in the draft, and we talked about like it's just so hard to take a receiver that early in a draft. Like it's just
that's the earliest I've seen a rookie receiver go.
Yeah, and we've seen it's not working out. You know, it's not panning out. Next on the list, Devontae Adams. He had 9 targets, 3 receptions.
Don't trip on him.
He will bounce back.
Yeah,
he's just getting used to that offense.
I definitely wouldn't trip on him either. He only, for a fun fact, he only ran 1 fewer route than Garrett Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, pretty much on the same pace. And he pretty much played every snap, minus I think like 1 or 2. So he's in there. He's like in the offense already.
Yeah.
And he's only going to get more and more in sync with that offense. And the Jets have to do something. Like they have to. That team fired their head coach for who knows why. And so they're going to bounce back soon. And they have good matchups upcoming.
Yeah, I know Kim, you mentioned this, like, but there's a meme of Devontae Adams, him losing the Steelers last week, and then him losing the Steelers this week, but it says like all that, but with the homies though. Like, you know how because he's in with the Jets now with Aaron Rodgers and Lazard. So he's with his homies. Yeah,
they made it a whole big deal. Reunited with Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers is like 65, so I don't think it's really he's not really doing much out there. Anyways,
with the homies.
Stephon Diggs 4.5 fantasy points against a good defense in Green Bay, and they play. Who do they play next week? They play at home. The Colts. Yeah, don't worry about Stephon Diggs. He'll be fine.
Should be solid.
On to the running backs. Let's blast through these. Actually, let's take all the time to talk about Alvin Kamara. 5.4 fantasy points. Saints offense is in shambles.
All right, does Kamara bounce back, Saints fan, with no car,
Please.
no
No
Olave,
house,
no
no
Shaheed?
nothing.
No?
He's going to drop another single digit game. I think so. Look, he plays the Chargers next week. Chargers have a great defense.
Oh, man.
No
No,
Carr.
you're wrong.
Carr's. He says that he has a chance to play week 9, and we're coming up on week 8, so he's not playing week 8. So, no, I don't think he bounces back. I think he gets another single digit performance, man. So,
Do you play Alvin Kamara or do you play Javonte against the Panthers?
I'd play Javonte against the Panthers. Wild statement, but I'm
That's
playing
crazy.
Javonte. Wild. But brother, I'm a Saints fan. I watched the game. We don't look good. Like
Yeah,
it's
the
not going
offense
to
is not
sugarcoat it.
moving.
So
Yeah. All that
And he
pressing
doesn't-
motion. not doing
he doesn't
anything.
even look like he's even trying to be out there too. Like there's even trade rumors right now that he might get traded to the Broncos next year or some shit.
No,
I don't
I think he squashed that, I feel like.
I don't even
I
know.
know like I read that he like, I didn't request a trade, or that's what he said. I don't know.
But he just doesn't
Who
look
knows?
happy
I
there.
mean-
That's all I'm saying. He just doesn't look
Bro,
happy.
he's the entirety of the offense. They're running him into the ground. Like every week, there's like,
Yeah.
Kamara has a ankle, hip, knee, wrist. Like they're just putting injury. Like he just getting banged up out there and for nothing.
Yeah.
On to Devin Singletary, 2.6 fantasy points. He's sharing with Tyrone Tracy now. I don't know if you think that Tracy's gonna. Do you guys think Tracy takes over, or is it just gonna be a split workload?
I think they keep it as a split.
Okay.
But personally, I wouldn't start a Giants running back. Like not even at the flex.
No.
Not even
Especially if
close,
it's split. If one of them goes down, yeah, you can start the other. But
Mhm.
if it's split backfield, I don't think either of them are worth starting.
Yeah.
Raheem Mostert, 3 fantasy points on a terrible offense and not as explosive as Achane, and also sharing touches with Achane. So bench him until Tua comes back. Ramondre, 3.5 fantasy points. Michael
I was about
Hasty
to say-
getting involved.
That was surprising performance. I feel like he was supposed to eat against Jacksonville, dude. With Jacksonville,
Yeah, I think Antonio Gibson got ruled out before the game started. I don't think he played that game, but yeah,
Yeah.
he did not look good. And so Jermichael Hasty was getting involved in the passing work. He got 5 targets. Ramondre had 3. Jermichael Hasty had 49 yards and a touchdown. So he had a
I
decent
think
game.
they've just been sharing amongst the RBs in New England. Because
Okay.
Madre had a 50% snap share, right? So that's pretty much half the time he's on the field.
Yeah.
Only.
Yeah.
And the other half is somebody else. So
Yeah.
they're kind of just sharing it.
Yeah.
And the ball, yeah. And you don't want to split backfields like that, especially on a not that good offense. I mean, we saw, Rashad White and Bucky both eat on that, but that Bucks offense is moving. So it's when it's not a move like offense is moving like that, it's tough to trust. Zach
Yeah.
Moss, 5.5 fantasy points. How did Chase Brown do? He didn't do that well.
He did
either, 6.3.
okay. Not too different, but Chase Brown still another week with slightly more increased running back rush share.
Mhm.
Slightly more.
Do you
They're
trust
similar
either
in
of these
routes and
guys?
targets this week, but Chase Brown's still slowly taking over.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you trust either of these guys against Philly next week?
Yes.
Chase Brown probably.
Okay.
Because
Zach Moss
I
is
think,
sick?
yeah, sit, yeah. What you got? I was gonna say that I feel like the reason why they didn't pop off is because the Browns. I don't know. I think the Browns' defense is pretty decent, and so I feel like
They
I don't know.
are.
I feel like Philly and Bengals should be a shootout next week. So I feel like you start Chase Brown over Zach.
Aren't they switching that game? Wasn't it? Aren't they're swapping that game with what was it again? I think
Like-
it was supposed to be a prime time game.
timeline?
They swapped it. Yeah, the Philadelphia game, or it was supposed to be. I don't know, but anyways, I think that game's going to be a decent one. I put David Montgomery in here because he went down with a knee injury, came back and played through it, then fumbled the ball. as long as he's healthy, he'll be fine. But he did have a dead performance, 6.5 fantasy points,
Mhm.
at least for his a player of his stature. That's it for the running back duds. Let's finish it off with tight ends. We only have 2 of them in this list. We had a decent tight end week. Sam Laporta with 3 fantasy points. Travis Kelce with 3.7 fantasy points. Sam Laporta has 17 targets on the season through 6 games. He had a bye week. He has less targets than Evan Ingram, who missed 4 games.
That's crazy.
Evan Ingram played
That's
3
crazy.
games, and he has more targets than Sam Laporta, and he has less targets than Mark Andrews before tonight's game. Actually, Mark Andrews had more targets than him before the Monday Night Football game today,
Mhm.
and so he has more fantasy. Well, he doesn't have more fantasy points than Mark Andrews now, but he has more
Yeah.
fantasy points than Evan Ingram. But still, the target share is weak.
I'll give you another crazy stat.
Please.
Specifically with the target share. 4 games this year, less than 10% target share. Last
Yeah.
season, quick quiz. How many games last season did he have with that low of target share?
Oh, it had to be
2.
1. It had to be 1.
1.
Balloons. Woo! He's
had
he's so
one-
happy.
he had
Sam
one
Laporta's
game.
target share.
He had
If you
one
guys are-
game.
If you
last
guys are
season.
watching, BBTB just threw up balloons. I don't know how he did that, but that was crazy.
That boy a magician, bro. He about to pull a rabbit at his
Yeah.
hood. Next.
Do it.
Sam Laporta, I mean, like, I'm hitting the panic button. Like, can you even sell him? Probably not.
We have
What tight
Jameson
end do you
Williams.
buy? Who knows?
Yeah,
I don't know, bro.
I wish.
we have
If he-
Jameson Williams out for 2 weeks, so Sam Laporta might be able to get some production. Then you can sell him.
yeah, but I don't know if you guys listened to the podcast before the season started. Fade the tight end, man. Don't get those top guys. There will be better tight ends in the future.
Brother, you faded for QB, tight end, running back, kicker. What you not fade, bro?
I faded quarterback and tight end, and I stacked the running backs and receivers. And if you did
What's your
that,
record in all your leagues again?
in 5-2 and 6-1,
Think about it.
5-2 and 6-1.
No, I'm in a league with you, and you're like 3-3, if that. Travis Kelce, 3.7 fantasy points. Rashee Rice has not been there. They lost Juju Smith-Schuster that game, and he's still not doing anything. What do you make?
He's
of
not
Kelce?
doing much. I'm not as worried about Kelsey now because without Rashee, ever since Rashee went down, he's definitely had an uptick
Mhm.
of share, right? He had 32%, 29%, and then this past week with 20%, pretty low. But it should
Okay.
probably get back up in the 25 to 30 range.
Yep.
Okay. Hoping for it. Schultz is in the list too. I didn't want to talk about him because we just auto bench this guy every week, no matter what. We did talk about him though because no Nico Collins. That's right. So yeah. Anyways, he dudded. That's it for the tight ends. The rest of them did decent enough. Anyone else that we missed? Anything? BTB? Can you throw up? Can you make a bird come out of your hood or something?
Nah,
All right. That'll do it for this episode. This is a long one, guys, but there was a lot to talk about. We had a lot of good running backs this week and a lot of dud wide receivers and a lot of injuries, honestly. So a lot to talk about. Listen to the next episode where we go over the waivers. We'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.